Hey everybody, welcome back. Today will be the first video in this new series that I'm calling Trash or Treasure. If you subscribed to my channel a while back as Plex Tutorials, you may notice I did a little name change. I'm still going to be doing Plex stuff, but I thought I would do some tech gadget reviews of cheap stuff you can pick up off eBay, as the item I'm looking at today came from, or Wish, AliExpress, Banggood, GearBest, the Chinese sellers. They have a lot of gadgets out there, and that stuff is really hit and miss. Let's be honest, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. A lot of this stuff is not going to be very good. Some of it might be decent, so that's why I came up with the Trash or Treasure name for this. Is it good? Is it a treasure, so to speak? If it's decent, we'd probably call it treasure. Nothing's going to probably be great. A lot of it's probably going to be trash. And it's very inexpensive stuff. And today I'm going to be taking a look at this 1080p, what they claim, HD camera. The title says DVR, IR, night motion, because they have different versions of this product available at different prices. So it's supposed to be a 1080p pocket pin camera. Some say mini police body pocket cam. They're trying to go after the whole police body cam thing that's really popular right now for capturing police, arrests and stuff like that. That many officers have to wear those body cams. That's not what this is. This is just a mini 1080p pocket pin camera. As you can see, it's $14.69 here in the U.S. Very, very cheap with free shipping. So let's just look over the specs for this, some of the pictures down below, because you can rotate through here over here, but these are not all pictures of the same product. Again, some of these products here, as you can see, are more expensive, and this is not the one that I bought. This is the one that I have. Let's scroll down. Just I'll point out the one in the middle here. This is the one. So little pinhole camera at the top. I guess you can just slide this in your pocket and you can walk around and record and maybe capture somebody up to no good or something as you walk through the city or something. This is not the one we have here. Let's just see if we can find the info for ours, or the one I got. And here it is, the 1080p pocket pin camera. They claim this one can do 720p or 1080p. We'll have to see about that. They put a really high 12 megapixel 432 by 3024 for photos. I almost gonna have to say right now that's pretty much gonna be impossible on this little thing to be doing that. But we'll see when we get it and when we load it up and take a look at it. It has a little micro SD card slot. It says you can go up to 32 gigs on that. Of course, that's not included at this extremely low price. It has a built-in lithium-ion battery that they claim can do up to 6 hours. Of course, there's always a little footnote here about, due to the revisionist new function, this product does not have the function of connecting to a TV. They're just little things letting you know, any changes or differences that you may notice. This is a video recorder just for video recording and cannot take photos. So I mentioned the photo picture mode, and then of course you look and they say can't take photos. So they're getting at is they claim this is a 12 megapixel sensor, and this is the dimensions this sensor's capable of, which I highly doubt, but you can't take photos. Now, I have noticed on these eBay listings, where I picked up quite a few things for the channel, that eBay tends to be a little more accurate about the information. Probably it's enforced a little bit more here with eBay. There's a little notice here from Microsoft on my computer. They love to do that, don't they? That the description is a little bit more accurate than, let's say, Wish, which is notorious for having all kinds of misleading ones. But on eBay, it tends to be the American-based sellers, even if they're selling junk, which this might be. They tend to be a little more accurate on the product descriptions. If it's coming straight from China, that's where I've seen more misleading product descriptions. Maybe they just figure if they get in trouble, they'll just make a new account. I don't know. But if it's based in the USA, I noticed a little bit more accurate information is what I'm getting at. So the stuff I'm reading here looks pretty legitimate, except for maybe that sensor size, but that's not going to really matter because you can't take photos and you're not going to be using all that sensor here for, well, you might be for video. I would think it's probably more like a 2 megapixel sensor, but those usually are attached to 720p. But then again, we'll have to see, is this just 720p video, or does it actually do 1080p? So again, inexpensive. You know, we'll just have to see what it does. They could see up here it mentions the 1080p and 720p as a timestamp, so there should be a little date time probably down in the lower right hand corner of the video, audio, of course, and it says lamp. I don't know if there's a little light on it or what. So what we'll do next is we'll get over to the table, open up the package, see what we all get. It's a very, very small box, and then we'll go ahead and take it out and see what kind of video this thing captures just walking around, to decide whether this thing might be worth, you know, basically 15 bucks or not. So let's get over to the table and take a closer look what comes in the box. I'll be right back. Alright guys, let's go ahead and see what we get inside the package. As you can see, this is very, very small, but that's what we'd expect for something that's a spy pen. So just pull it out of it. Comes in this cheap trash bag type packing material, which we usually see from items that are Chinese based off of eBay, or if they're from China especially. Oh, they come with that yellow tape that we call Chinese Christmas wrapping paper. I call that yellow tape that you often see on stuff. But let's go ahead and open it up and let's see what's inside. As you can see, the box there's no writing on it, just a camera lens graphic on there. Let's go ahead and pull it out, and here is the camera. And it looks like we've got a USB charging cable with that yellow video RCA type plug, which I don't know, they say on the product list, and it alludes to the fact this may not work. I'm not really too worried. I'm only worried about the USB charging cable and data transfer to get the video files off the SD card, though. It may be a deal where you just pull the SD card out of the camera and just put it in a reader. So I don't know if it'll actually show up. It may just see this device and just charge. So I don't know if you can actually transfer files straight off of it and basically make this become a USB a micro SD card stick as well. So here is the spy pen. Very, very, very lightweight, as we'd expect it to be. While that's on my mind, let's go ahead and just test to see how much this does weigh, just if you're curious. And turn on the scale. Just put it down here, and it is 21 grams. Very, very, very lightweight, as we would expect it to be. So let's take a closer look. It looks like the on and off buttons on top. A lot of this stuff is going to be in the instruction manual, you would hope, but it looks like it's really small hand print. But here is the English instructions. I'm going to have this out as we try to test this here in a moment. And they do have it labeled here what the different buttons and such is on the pen. But here is the on and off button on the top. It does have a built-in rechargeable lithium ion battery. On the bottom here is where you're going to see that little mini USB connector, they call it. This looks smaller than your traditional mini USB, but that'll be to charge the internal battery and possibly to transfer the files off. The micro USB card reader spot to go in there to save your video files to is right there on the side, and it doesn't appear to be spring mounted. You just slide your card in there. I got a little sort of generic 32 gig, and remember 32 is your max capacity they say this thing can read. So you slide it in there, and it should have some juice in it now. Hopefully we can do a quick test. Now looking at this, you'd think, well, maybe where's the camera, because there's 4 dots there, and they said the top dot was the camera, and I don't see any camera. If you look on the back, you might from a distance think that this maybe is a camera and this is a mic, but when I look a little more closely, that's just a small Phillips screwdriver head. So it might be a way you can actually take this apart. So if this thing is absolute garbage, which there's a good chance it will be, I may do a tear down on this. I haven't decided. Be curious to see what's inside of here. But if it's decent, you know, I don't want to run the risk of actually destroying it, opening it up, because I don't know if to see there's other screws or if this is all molded. It should be able to come apart. But what it looks like here on the front is you actually slide this down and there is your camera. So it's hidden in there, which is kind of odd, because even if it wasn't a slide down, it still looks inconspicuous. So it doesn't look like something that someone would think you're spying on. But if you wanted to hide that camera in there, you can do that. So you power it on here at the top. So you just press this in and it powers it up. And there are these little tabs here, which I think is probably like a reset and a mode button on the right, and blue and yellow lights. So there it is, and that's powered on. And let's make sure we got the camera exposed here before we try to do anything. And let's take a look at that instruction manual, because it is a little bit, it's very, very poor English. But once you click it on, and if you click the on button again, it should start to flash the blue light, and I believe this will start to record 720p video. Alright, we have a flashing blue light there, and if I move this around, I should get some video that hopefully you guys are seeing right now. But we'll be using my mic audio, so I'm not sure if I'll even include the video from this at this moment, because this is not the camera test. Press that button again, and it went solid, so that stopped recording. So the video it just recorded there I probably won't include, because we want to do some video testing where I can also test the internal mic to see if this mic is even halfway usable. Because as a spy camera, I'm kind of surprised that this price even has a mic. Now it says you can do 1080p. Now for me, I want the higher resolution, because there's a chance that's going to be better. So 720p to me, why use that if you can use 1080p? Either one should not use much space. So for 1080p video, you want to, after you turn it on, you're going to press the on button again, I believe for 3 seconds, rather than a quick press, and it'll go into your video, your 1080p, and a yellow light over here should flash. So 1, 2, 3, let up, and now we got it flashes a few times and then it stops, and that means it should be now. I'll just be confirming this is working here. And the camera is out just on my computer, but we're not going to show you this footage because this would not be a good test here. And then I think another quick press will stop it, and the blue light goes solid. Now there are these little tabs, like I said, so I guess you can reset it or do some adjustments. Again, I'll have to dig through the instruction manual with these little tabs to change something, but thankfully most everything you're going to do is going to be here with the on and off button on top, which makes it easy to access. If this is sitting up in your pocket, you can just reach down with your hand and start recording, or do a long press, because you're not going to be able to see those lights with it sitting in your pocket. So if you're just wanting to make sure you get video, a quick press, you know, at least get you 720p video. If it doesn't work right, I've included notes here in the video. If there's no notes, then that means that it did do 720p and 1080p video, just like it said. So there are some other things that I mentioned about those two buttons, which are the reset and the mode key for those two. But again, you're just going to mostly be using this. But it does record in motion JPEG or MJPEG. That's not a very good format, but again at this price point, you can't expect H.264, something that takes a lot of power. I believe motion JPEG is a very easy video format to process, but they also can use a little bit more space. It's just a bunch of JPEGs taken really fast consecutively in a row, which makes your video at 30 frames per second, which I believe this is what this one does. That's what all video are. They're just a whole bunch of images. The more images per second, the more smooth the playback, or the higher frames per second. It does mention on here that it does some, the photos, and it's a 4:3, but I don't see how you take a photo. It mentions it up here, I think. It says in picture 12 million colors, I guess is what this means. On standby mode, one yellow light points F keys back the blue light model for a photograph. It's very, very, I have no idea what it's meaning. So it could be done with this, you'd hope so, but I don't know exactly why. I'm really not too worried. We want to be able to record video with this. If I figure out how to take a photo with this, I will certainly let you guys know. But man, the instructions are really, really poor. Again, for being something from China and really inexpensive, that is certainly not unexpected, so I guess that's okay. But I would prefer a little better instruction manual. So just get the cover back on there on the bottom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go charge this up, because I don't know how much battery capacity this has. The light should come on. Hopefully it will do something different when it's fully charged. But lots of times it may be something as basic as just turning the lights off and you know it's charged. I'll plug it in for a few hours, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in my, clip it either to my pocket or on my pants or a pocket on my shirt, and walk around outside and just test the video quality. I'll do 720p and I'll do 1080p if it does do both, which I hope it will. And we'll confirm that inside of media info on a computer that the dimensions of the video did change, that it is MJPEG. And let's see how that microphone sounds. I do think the microphone is this little hole right here, which I don't know how well that's going to show up in my video. It's right above my thumb. And of course, here's where you slide out. You got to make sure you expose the camera, otherwise you're just going to get black video with audio. So I would just leave it down all the time. I don't see why I'd even wanted to cover it up unless you're worried about it getting dirty, which I don't think that's really going to be a big concern. Okay guys, so I'm going to go charge this up and we'll take it out and test it and give you some conclusions on if it's trash or treasure. So I'll be right back. Okay, this is a 720p test. I'll put up a media info screenshot from that program I use on Windows that will let you guys see that this is indeed 720p. So it's 1280 by 720 at 30 frames per second. And the audio here is actually what I was most shocked by. The audio is actually really good, like shockingly good. I was actually kind of blown away by the audio on this little thing. Just trying to get some shots of the water here and the flowers. But the audio is actually really good. This audio will be unaltered, so I'm not boosting it or doing any post-processing to the audio. This is exactly as you would hear it right off the device. But what I did notice was on 720p, the video is pretty good. I did have a few glitches here and there. Again, the audio is very good. But as you'll see in a minute, I'm going to switch to 1080p. That playback was very, very choppy. Very sluggish or slow, like it's dropping a lot of frames. So even though it does say that it's 30 frames per second, it's very poor. Now I can see why they're giving you these options. I'm unfortunately going to have to say that I think 720p is going to be the best for recording. 1080p, you're going to get a very unsmooth playback, and it's probably going to, it's just not going to be acceptable. So let's switch over and do some 1080p test footage so you can see that. So we'll be right back. Alright, so this will be the 1080p footage. Try to take a similar route as I did before. Again, this is unaltered audio, which audio sounds really good, I think. Again, I said surprisingly good. But the 1080p playback is not very good. Now I am using a SanDisk Extreme 32 gig card to make sure that there's not any issues with the cheap card causing poor playback. Again, you'll see the screenshot here of the media info details of this video file, so you can see that this is indeed 1920 by 1080 at 30 frames per second. But obviously this thing is not able to capture the JPEGs at 30 frames per second smoothly enough, or it's not able to transfer the files fast enough to the SD card. Something's causing it to be rather sluggish or choppy on the playback. So again, I would recommend going with the 1280 by 720. I didn't really think there was much difference in quality anyway, and you can't expect there to be on this cheap camera with that motion JPEG, MJPEG format. So I think 720p is going to be what you want to use. But man, the audio is really shockingly good. So far, I gotta say, what I've seen, this thing may very well be worth $15 as long as you realize the video is going to be just so. At 720p, it's not too bad, and you can obviously get some good audio. If you just need an audio recorder for some oddball reason, you could just use this thing and have the camera lens just closed, the cover, and just use it to capture audio secretly, which, as you know, in some states in the United States, that's against the law. If the other person doesn't know you're recording them, other states it's a one-party agreement. So make sure that you know your laws there, folks. But yeah, all right, let's go ahead and go back inside and do some final breakdown here, conclusions on this little camera spy pen. So we'll be right back. Okay, as you guys saw there in the test sample video footage, 720p is obviously what you want to go with. Bit unfortunate because 1080p should theoretically look better, but 1080p playback is extremely choppy, almost like it's playing back sort of in slow motion. But I didn't think the 1080p really looked, I mean, 720p didn't look good, let's be honest, but 1080p didn't look any better. It should, but it didn't. But there was the issue could not have been related to the SD card. I just want to eliminate that in case anybody thinks, well, maybe we're using a slow card. I was using a 32 gig SanDisk Extreme in there, so you know the SD card was certainly not the source of any of the issues with recording the 1080p. As you guys saw, the bit rate was really low on both of these, which is sort of be expected of such a low-end device like this. So 720p is what you're going to want to use if you do decide to pick up this little camera pin. It's just, don't expect a lot from the video, but it was passable. Just didn't have a whole lot of detail. Colors were a bit drab, but as you notice, the audio was surprisingly good. I'm kind of shocked at the quality of the audio. It was more than acceptable. I expected a super muffled, really low microphone, and that's not what it sounded like to my ears here while playing back the files. So if you do a 720p video, I think you're going to be happy at this cost. $15. This is $150? No, but $15, I think we can live with it. Now, you can change the date on the video. You noticed on the videos I just put up, you know, we just saw a moment ago, are the date said 7/14, which is July 14th, I believe I had 2021 in there. I may have had the wrong year. I don't remember, but there's a little text file that is on the camera writes to your SD card. There's a photo folder, which we didn't get around to that. I couldn't figure out how to take a photo. There's a video folder, and then there's a little text file, .txt. If you open it up, there's a date with some bunch of zeros on the end. It says 2020-0909, so September 9th, 2020. That sounds like when this was made, less than a year ago. If you change that to like 2021 or 0714, it's going to say July 14th, 2021. Then I left all the zeros on the end of it because I don't know exactly what those are doing. But unfortunately, as soon as you connect this to a computer or pull the SD card out and you put it on your computer to read the files, the text file gets overwritten and resaved back to that default. So I can't get it to permanently keep the updated date. And anytime you record, you're going to have to set that date anyway. I don't think the built-in firmware on here just simply rewrites that text file and creates it every single time. So it reads it off there, and it did it for both videos that I filmed. But as soon as you disconnect the card or power it off or pull the card or disconnect it to the computer, it just resets that text file and you're stuck with that date again. But for me, for what I'm doing here, the date I don't think is going to rarely be important. But it's sort of unfortunate that it does that. Now I did mention, and hopefully I put some notes up earlier when I mentioned that this was, if you could use this as a sort of a thumb drive. And yes, you can. The little cable, which I don't have it next to me at the moment, the little mini USB cable, when you plug that in and plug it to your computer on Windows will detect it, and then you can see it as the drive, and you can actually pull the files off your micro SD card here using the device. So you don't have to actually pull this out and stick this in a micro USB card reader. You can just use the actual camera itself to pull the files off. Now it may not be, it's not going to be USB 3 speeds or something. If you need really fast speeds, you can put it in a USB 3 card reader or something and pull the files off faster. But you don't need to have a card reader. You can do everything with just the camera itself. So that is nice that it does function as a reader. I figured it probably would, but I wanted to make sure that that actually was the case. So closing thoughts on this. I hate to use the word treasure, but that's what I'm calling this series. So I'm going to say, yeah, this would be a treasure more than a trash. Treasure, again, sounds a bit too good, but I would not call this trash because it does film reasonable 720p video at a good, smooth playback for what it costs, and the audio is really good. If this just filmed in 1080p, or if you have to have 1080p, then this would be more on the trash side because the video is extremely slow playback. Isn't smooth at all. The audio still sounds really good. But if you just are okay with 720p video and the audio is so good, and the fact it's got a built-in rechargeable battery, and you could, again, the audio is just, I can't get over how good the audio is on this little thing. I'm gonna have to give it a big thumbs up and say this is definitely a treasure. I'll try to include a purchase link to eBay. This is not an affiliate link, so I'm not making a cent off this video, and I paid for this out of my own money, so keep that in mind. But you can pick this up off eBay. I'm sure there's going to be more than one seller selling this, but I will link to that one you guys saw at the beginning. That's the seller that I bought this from. Just be sure you select the pin camera, the $14.97. It could be a different cost by the time you view this, but be sure you select that one. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up, say yep, definitely a treasure for what it does cost. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there's you have any comments or any tips or suggestions, this is the first in a series. If there's something I didn't include in the video that you would have liked to have seen, yes, we didn't get the photos. That was a bit hard to figure out, and I don't think anybody's going to be using this for photos. But if there's anything you want to let me know, feel free to leave it down in the comments. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, well, then give it a dislike. Just let me know what you think. I have some Android watches coming that I'm going to be testing. See how those work. How do the heart rate monitors and stuff compared to my Mi Band, which I use as a baseline. And I have a cheap supposed 4G Android phone coming that I'm going to test out as well. Alright guys, that wraps it up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Also click that bell so you're notified when I do upload the videos. As always guys, have a wonderful day.